I used to think buying more would make me happier. This might have something to do with my background. You see, I didn't grow up with a lot of resources, so as a child, shopping was truly a luxury for me because it was never something that we got to do for fun. And so somewhere along the way, I started associating abundance with owning a lot of nice things. Following that, I wasted a lot of money. But luckily, I came to learn about intentional spending about 7 years ago, and everything changed for the better. But I thought it'd be interesting to share with you the things I wish I hadn't bought. The first ones are high heels. In my early 20s, I thought being an adult meant you had to look a certain way. And so even though I found high heels to be incredibly uncomfortable, I kept buying them. My collection actually grew to a point where it didn't make any sense at all because I simply couldn't put them to use in my day-to-day life. Yes, I went to a few weddings and parties, but generally I've always lived a very simple and quiet life, so what I need are very simple but comfortable outfits and shoes, not high heels. At one point, I think I had about 20 pairs of high heels. They were not designers, but still a complete waste of money because I hardly ever wore them. Before I move on to the next thing I wish I hadn't bought, there is one thing that I'll always be happy to invest in, and that is my skincare. After my pregnancy, I went through a period where I had a lot of cystic acne. And during that time, I had so much insecurity. And let me tell you, I would happily trade any of my luxury bags or shiny jewelry for healthy skin. So I completely understand how our skin can impact the way we feel and our well-being, which is why I always do my best to care for my skin. This year, I've been using this For Real LED face mask, and this has been amazing. It comes with 8 different light therapies, so regardless of your skin type, this can be a wonderful addition to your skincare routine. For example, I love using the red light because anti-aging is one of my skincare priorities. And if you're not aware, red light is proven to reduce wrinkles and fine lines. Recently, I've also been loving the green light because it's so effective in brightening my skin. Now, because this face mask has so many skincare benefits, I don't actually have to apply as many skincare products anymore. So in the long run, this can be a fantastic investment. For those of you who live a very busy lifestyle, you'll be glad to know this is incredibly handy to use. All you need to do is to put on the headband and you can then get on with your day and your chores. The treatment usually lasts about 10 to 15 minutes and I do it a few times a week. And so far, I've been really enjoying it. If you're also looking to improve your skin, For Real is doing an amazing Black Friday deal. If you use my code, it will give you an additional 35% off, which means you'll get up to 50% off on almost all For Real products. So make sure to look into it. The second thing I wish I never bought are sale items. There were so many things that I purchased, not because I really liked them, but because they were on sale. This might surprise you, but there was a time in my life where I would line up outside designer stores on Boxing Day, hoping to be one of the lucky ones to get a good deal. On one occasion, I bought a Burberry leather bag because it was on a 40% discount. To be honest with you, I didn't even look at the bag properly, but I felt a sense of urgency to buy it because everyone around me was grabbing everything. At that moment, I really believed it was a good deal, but the truth is, I never used the bag. I still remember I paid about £400 for it, and it was a complete waste of money because over the next few years, it just sat in my closet. This is why I like to talk about these kind of topics because there are so many ways we can use our resources wisely. I mean, that £400 could have bought me so many good books that could have changed my life earlier. I could have also invested that money into an online course, or hobby, or a side hustle. And that one decision could have changed my entire life trajectory. This is why I'm so intentional with my shopping now, because I know my resources are finite and I want to use them to buy things that will actually improve myself and my life. Number 3, I wish I never bought things just because of Instagram or social media. And yes, I did go through a phase where I thought I had to portray the perfect life online. By that I mean featuring a new outfit on every Instagram post and feeling the need to showcase something new every time I showed up. For example, I bought this poncho years ago in Harvey Nichols, which is a luxury shopping store here in the UK. I took some pictures to put on Instagram, but in reality, over the last 10 years, I've probably worn it 3 times, if that. I also bought these Hermes rodeo charms because I wanted my Hermes bags to look more exciting on pictures. But in my everyday life, I did not enjoy using them at all. So for me, these pieces were a complete waste of money because I most likely wouldn't have purchased them if social media wasn't in the picture. Over the years, I've learned that you can be more authentic online. You don't have to share everything about your private life, but you also don't have to create a persona to impress anyone. I also wish I hadn't bought things that I knew wouldn't work for me. In other words, I wish I had listened to myself more. I cannot tell you how many times I had come across things that I knew I shouldn't buy, but I bought them anyway. And these included some of the most classic luxury items. For example, when I tried on the Chanel Classic ballet flats, I knew they didn't look good on me, but I bought them anyway because they're supposedly classic. I also bought a Cartier Love bracelet, knowing I have a job that doesn't allow me to wear jewelry. And then I bought a Chanel boy flap when deep down I knew it was too big and boxy for me. And it's not just luxury items. I had the same hope for the best mentality with high street pieces as well. For example, I bought shoes in the wrong size because my size was sold out. I also bought clothes that were too big for me because I told myself one of those days I'll go to the tailor to get them altered. But of course, I never did. And I know how silly and completely irrational all this sounds, but part of me just really wanted those things to work. It's almost like the more I couldn't have it, the more I wanted it. Fast forward to now, I only buy things that will add values to my life in one way or another. So if they don't work for my lifestyle, they are technically useless, regardless of how well-made, timeless, or stunning they are. Moving on, I wish I hadn't spent any money on outlet shopping. I talked about this before, but years ago, my husband and I would drive for hours to get to a luxury shopping outlet here in the UK. We would then stay over at the hotel just so we could spend the next 2 days doing nothing but shopping. I remember we used to come home with so many shopping bags. But you know what? I don't even own one thing from those shopping trips anymore. And that's because all my purchases were driven by my own fear of missing out. Now, the whole idea of outlet shopping is that you get to buy things at a cheaper price. And so I thought, the more I buy, the more savings I'll make. Especially seeing we've put in so much effort to get there in the first place. Unsurprisingly, we wasted so much money. The thing that bothers me is not just the money. What I find more upsetting is the fact that I've wasted so much of my time. You see, I could have used that time to rest, spend time with my family, read some good books, or learn something new. But instead, I wasted my precious time buying random things only to get rid of them in a few years' time. And let's not forget, decluttering itself takes time and energy as well. Now, I'm not implying that you should never shop again. I still buy things, but I now try my best to do it with a sense of practicality and also intentionality. When I look back at the way I used to spend, I really wish I had done things differently, but in a weird way, it has helped to shape the person I am today. For example, I occasionally still have the fear of missing out, but the difference now is that I know my FOMO is just a passing emotion and that I don't have to cave into it. So to be honest, I actually really appreciate that part of my life because it proves to me firsthand that things are just things and that I am worth more than what I buy. And that is it from me today. Thank you so much for being here. Take care and I will see you soon.